guys. I don't know if you know, but this week is the first week that at the library we're doing summer reading. We're kicking it off and we've got a lot of really fun, cool things. But most especially, if you go to the library's website or to the library's Facebook page, you can find a link to a place called Beanstack on the web. And there, you and your whole family can sign up and keep track of your reading, how much time you read, and you can even do some special reading challenges, and you can get some prizes that way. Does that sound like fun? I know that I'm doing it. But there's lots more stuff going on, so make sure you check it out. Now, I've got some great stories and some really fun rhymes and songs today, so we better get started. What do you think? Here we go. Clap your hands if you love stories. Clap your hands, I know you do. I'm so glad that we could be together. Glad to share a story time with you. Do you know what a mosquito is? Did you ever go outside and hear a little tiny buzz in the air by your ear? Maybe you got bit by a mosquito and it made your skin itch. Well, I have a story for you, and it explains why mosquitoes do that sort of thing. Did you know that long time ago, mosquitoes didn't buzz? They talked. They talked and they talked and they talked and they talked. They were the original chatterboxes, and nobody could make them stop talking. Well, one day, Mr. Mosquito was down by the river trying to talk to the iguana who lived there. And he was going on and on and on about the vacation he had just taken, and the lovely sights he had seen, and the food he had eaten, and the tours he had taken, and how long it took to get there, and the hotels that he had zoomed by. And the iguana was getting more and more and more tired of listening to the mosquito talk, but the mosquito wouldn't stop talking. And so the iguana eventually stalked away as quickly as he could to try to escape from the mosquito's unending talking. And as he went, he passed the snake. And the snake said, "Hello, iguana friend." But the iguana didn't even stop to say hello back. He was still too intent on getting away from the mosquito. Well, the snake's feelings were hurt because he thought that he and the iguana were good friends. He was so sad that he looked around for some place to go mope, and he saw a rabbit hole that he slithered down in to hide. Well, the rabbit, who had no idea of what was going on, saw a snake slithering down into her hole and yelped and immediately crawled back up the other hole and started running as fast as she could. "Help, help," she said. "The snake is after me." A crow at that point was flying high in the sky and saw the rabbit running as if her life depended upon it, and tried calling down, "Is there danger? Is there danger?" When the rabbit didn't stop to explain, started cawing loudly, "Help, help, danger is coming, danger is coming." The monkey in the jungle was down in the trees and heard the crow cawing loudly, and thought, "I have to help spread the word." And so the monkey started jumping from tree to tree, yelling, "There's danger, there's danger," as fast as it could go. Until it got to one tree where some of the branches weren't quite healthy. And when he landed on one dead branch, it cracked and went thump, thump, thump down the branches beneath it until it landed in the owl's nest where there were eggs. And one of the eggs broke. Well, when the owl came back to her nest and saw that one of her eggs was broken, she was so sad. And the problem with the owl being sad is that it was the owl's hooting that made the sun come up in the morning. And so when the owl didn't sing her song, didn't hoot her lovely good morning sounds, the sun didn't come up. And then everybody was angry, and they figured out that the person who started all of this was the mosquito. And they were all scolding and yelling and grumbling at the mosquito. And he didn't mean for any of this to happen, so he begged and he pleaded and he explained and he talked and tried to convince them and told them his story and told them his excuses and apologized and please forgive me and I'll never do it again, and over until days and days had passed with no light. And finally, the owl heaved a great sigh, fluttered to a higher branch, and sang her song. And the sun came up again. But by then, the mosquito had spent so much time telling everyone just how sorry he was and telling everyone just how much he would never do it again that he had completely lost his voice. And it never came back. So when you hear the mosquito buzzing in your ear, he's asking, "Is everybody still mad at me?" All right, how about instead of a finger play today, we get up and move our whole bodies? You think we can do that? I have a special friend here to help us. Say hi, Mr. Cow. Hello. And he's going to show you what to do, and I bet you can do it just as good as him. All right, stand up and show me. Can you hop, hop, hop like a bunny? Good job. And run, run, run like a dog, faster. Can you walk, walk, walk like an elephant? And jump, jump, jump like a frog? Jump, jump, jump. Can you swim, swim, swim like a goldfish? Good job. And fly, fly, fly like a bird? Have you ever seen a cow fly? Can you curl up tight into a ball and not say a single word? You want to try it again? Here we go. Can you hop, hop, hop like a bunny? Good job. And run, run, run like a dog? Can you walk, walk, walk like an elephant? And jump, jump, jump like a frog? Ribbit, ribbit. Can you swim, swim, swim like a goldfish? And fly, fly, fly like a bird? Can you curl up tight into a ball and not say a single word? Thank you for helping me. This is the story of the Frog Princess. Not the Frog Prince. That's a whole different story. So once upon a time, there was a king who had 3 sons. And the sons didn't really get along very well. And the king worried that one day when he was gone, between the sons arguing, they would tear the kingdom apart. And so he decided he needed to settle the matter of which one would be his heir and the future king now. And so he called his sons to him and said, "In order to choose my heir, I will set a contest between each of you. You will choose your future bride. And when you have chosen her, there will be a test. And whichever couple wins my test will be the future king and queen. Now here is how I want you to choose your bride. I want you to go to the tallest tower of the castle and fire an arrow. And wherever the arrow lands, there you will find your bride." And so they did as they were told. The oldest son found that his arrow landed on the roof of the tailor's house. And when he went to the tailor's house and knocked on the door, he found the tailor had a daughter who was the right age to be married. And so he took her back to the castle. The youngest son, when he found his arrow, it was stuck in the door of a bakery. But the baker also had a daughter who was the right age to be married. And so he took her to the castle. And the middle son had only gone along with this to be a good fellow in the first place, because he liked to read, and he had read a great many stories about just this sort of thing, and he knew that the middle son never wins anything. But he fired his arrow, and when he went to find it, he found that it had stuck in a muddy ditch beside the lake, and all that was there was a frog. He laughed. He squatted down and said, "Well, it appears I've found you. I don't suppose that you're actually a princess in disguise. And he kissed the frog on the lips, but the frog stayed a frog. Now he knew that, of course, he was out of the contest entirely, but he didn't want to see his brothers lorded over him that quickly. And so he made his way back to the castle, smiling and whistling as cheerfully as he could manage. And when his brothers asked about his future bride, he said, "It's a country girl. She's back at home." And the king said, "Here is the first contest. I'm giving you each a bolt of this fleece, and I want you to give it to your intended and see what sort of fabric they can make of it." And so, of course, the oldest son thought that his bride would have no problem with this at all. After all, she was the daughter of a tailor. The youngest son was a little concerned. He didn't know exactly how well bakers could weave fabric, but he thought that she could give it a go. The middle son took the fleece back to the muddy ditch and said, "Here is your challenge. You're to weave this fleece into fabric. I'll just leave it here for you." And he went back. The next morning, when he went to the ditch, he found that the fleece was gone, and in its place was a walnut. He took the walnut with him to the castle. And when he got there, he found that his father, the king, was already examining the fabric made by the intended bride of the oldest son. And it was lovely fabric, only done overnight, so it wasn't quite the expensive fabric that one might purchase from her father's store, but not lovely nonetheless. The youngest son's intended bride had done her best, but the fabric was bumpy and uneven, and it was obvious that it wasn't going to win the contest. And they looked at the middle son and said, "Well, where is your fabric?" And he tossed the walnut to his father and said, "There it is." And everyone smiled politely because they figured that that was his way of saying that he was giving up on the contest. And the king took his royal nutcrackers and cracked open the walnut, and out spilled yard after yard of lovely silky fabric, and it just kept coming and coming and covered the floor, and it was the finest fabric anyone had ever seen. Well, the winner was obvious. The king didn't quite know what to make of this, but he said, "I will set a second contest. In this contest, I will give each of you one of the royal puppies, newly born. And I want you to take the puppy back to your future bride's houses, and they will train the puppy for 1 month. And when they bring them back, whichever of you produces the best dog will win the test." Well, this time, the youngest son's bride was sure that she would do the best because the bakery had plenty of dogs all the time to chase away rats who would otherwise get into the flour. The tailor's daughter, the future bride of the oldest son, didn't really know much about dogs at all. You can't have dogs around expensive fabric. They'll ruin it. She put the dog in a box in the yard and hoped for the best. But of course, that's not how you train dogs. And by the time that month was up, that dog was not doing very well at all. The middle son produced another walnut. This time, when the king opened the walnut, out came the tiniest, most adorable puppy anyone had ever seen. And it trotted around and stood up on its hind legs and did tricks and rolled over and obeyed commands. And of course, the middle son was the winner again. The king said, "Here is the final test. Tomorrow, you are all to be married. The finest dress and carriage will be the last test. And whoever produces the most lovely accoutrements for their wedding will be the queen and her husband, the king." So the middle son made his way back to the lake that night, back to the muddy ditch. And he said to the frog, "No more walnuts. We have to be married tomorrow." Now the frog seemed to be interested at this point in a lily plant nearby, because of course it was a frog. But the middle son chuckled, and pulled down a leaf and gave it to the frog. And then, because he was amusing himself, he found 4 snails in the pond, and he tied them with small bits of thread to the leaf, and put the frog on the leaf, and started to lead the carriage into town. He couldn't quite walk as slow as the snails could pull the lily leaf, of course. He would take a few steps, and then he'd have to turn around and wait. He'd take a few more steps and turn around and wait. Eventually, when it became dark and he could no longer keep doing that, he walked up as far as the gates of the town and laid down to wait for the rest of the night. The next morning, the middle son was awakened by the puff of air against his neck from a horse leaning over him. And he looked up, and it was a mighty stallion. And there were 3 other mighty stallions, and they were pulling a lovely golden gilt carriage behind them, which held a woman in a beautiful green silk wedding gown. And the woman said, "Come, join your princess. I was cursed by a witch, and the curse could only be broken when," and the son said, "when someone would marry you just as you were," because he had read the stories. And so he joined her in the carriage, and they were married. And if you've read enough stories, you know who became the king and the queen. All right, today we're going to play This Old Man. And this would be a really good song if you have anything that you can bang on like that, or drums. If you don't actually have drums or anything at home, you know, you can always get bowls and wooden spoons or anything that you can use to make some noise. But it's that kind of a song. It's a good song that you can play drums to. Okay? Here we go. This old man, he played one. He played knick-knack on his drum with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played two. He played knick-knack on my shoe with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played three. He played knick-knack on my knee with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played four. He played knick-knack on the floor with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played five. He played knick-knack on my hive with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played six. He played knick-knack on the bricks with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played seven. He played knick-knack up to heaven with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played eight. He played knick-knack on my gate with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played nine. He played knick-knack all the time with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. This old man, he played 10. He played knick-knack over again with a knick-knack, paddywhack, give a dog a bone. This old man came rolling home. Good job. Well, did you like my stories today? He says yes. I'm really glad that you were here today. And don't forget what I said about summer reading program at the library. You'll have to make sure that you do all kinds of fun things with us this summer. And let me know if you did, okay? In fact, I think that if you go on Beanstack, you can actually get a badge just for having watched this today. So you've already gotten started, haven't you? Before you go running off to do that, let's do our last stretch. Mr. Cal's gonna help me again. You ready? Reach for the ceiling and touch the floor. Stand up again. Let's do some more. Touch your head and now your knees. Up to your shoulders, like this, you see. Reach for the ceiling and touch the floor. That's all there is. There isn't any more. Bye-bye.